Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, TigerTank12, however you call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks related content. Haha, look at that. I managed to not say World of Tanks, but World of Tanks related content. Now, not a lot of you guys will be interested in this video, I already know, I don't care. Now, I'm going to be making this video because I wanted to talk about this thing for a while. I don't want to promote this website. Well, I mean, it's a very good website. I've been using it most of the time now, ever since I found it, and the stats and the characteristics, it's great. It's a great website. You know what? It's a great website. I'm going to promote it. Doesn't matter. It's not going to cost me anything. It's a great website where you can track your World of Tanks stats. This is my account, and you're going to be a bit confused if you don't know anything about XVM, if you don't know World of Tanks when it was first launched and before the anonymizer was introduced into the game. I probably think most of you guys still remember XVM. Most of you still remember the characteristics and statistics that we have right here. But basically, I have been playing this game for 10 years, 11 years now, and I always wanted to become purple. When I first started playing this game, the first 10,000 games, I was probably one of the worst players, because I just was playing for fun. Doesn't mean that I'm not having fun anymore, it's just that my focal points have changed. Back in the days, I was just, trying everything out. I wanted to get new vehicles, I wanted to play the legendary tanks, the King Tiger, the Tiger 1, the Panther, the Pershing, the M4 Shermans. Turns out all of them are garbage in World of Tanks. Well, most of them are not very good. But that's not, it's not bad. You want to have different experiences, and it didn't really occur to me that it was important for me to be good at the game. Now, things changed. I played the game more, and I've gotten to a point where I understood the mechanics and I tried to get better. This is basically the place where I was in for a very long time, and now I'm in a place where I want to achieve my final goal for at least my account, which is to become purple. Now, I know a lot of players don't use XVM anymore. I don't use XVM, so it's not for anyone. It's just for my personal ego, basically. I'm running Anonymizer as well to help a little bit with artillery focus, and I don't care about the stats of other players. I don't care if they're red. I don't care if they're tomatoes. I don't care if they're all super Unicums. I mean, in the end, they play their game, I play my game, and if they fail, if I fail, and we lose the game, it's just a game that you lost. It's not too bad. That is something you have to wrap your head around if you have always been in this, everything needs to be the best, you need to be the best mindset in World of Tanks. You need to be the purple, you need to beat up the tomatoes. It takes a while to get out of the mindset, but if you do, you're going to have a much better time in the game. I can tell you that much. So I've played 40,724 games. That is a whopping number. We could probably calculate that, but I don't want to because it's going to be really sad how much playing time that would be. But either way, you can see everything is kind of purplish at the moment. The last 24 hours, the 3 days, the 7 days, 30 days, the 60 days, 100 battles, the 1,000 battles. And I'm going to go through them real quick. So basically, this website shows you off as a Unicum already with 2,350. So the color scales are right here. So I'm kind of a early Unicum. But I want to get into the kind of more dark purplish area. I want to get to 2,500 WN8. That's my goal. I'm not going to be able to reach 3,000 WN8. That's completely nuts. I'm not going to be able to do that. But I want to at least get to 2,500. I'm currently sitting at 2,368 WN8. And I can achieve that by playing games as I've played the last couple of days. The last 30 days, there have been some games that were a bit critical. Last 30 days, I've been playing a lot in the Object 780, 140 games almost, and the win rates, the WN8, it's not all of it is not looking very good. But at least I've managed to get into into the Object 780, and now I know how to play the tank, and I enjoy it a lot more than I enjoyed it when it first came out, a little bit over a month ago, or no, actually just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, either way, to get like to get to 2,500 win 8, I have to play more games because it has to be like in comparison to my entire games played. So basically, I want to keep up the good results that I have. Usually, these good results only happen when I play tanks that I know how to play, and not when I start playing new tanks or tanks that I don't play regularly. But since I'm doing reviews, well, I have to play other vehicles that I don't play regularly. But it's my big goal to become like 2,500, and I can say I'm a Unicum, or I'm not even sure if that is a Unicum, but either way, that's good for me because it's my personal challenge. And that's one of the things I've noticed. When you play a game for such a long time as I am, you need to have a goal. You need to have something to keep in mind to you know, to give you like a boost, because if you don't have the boost, well, you're not going to be having fun in the game anymore, because maybe eventually you know what the game is like and you know all of the early game content. That's one of the main reasons why I don't play low tier games anymore, because low tier games are just, you know, it's unfair to the other players. I obviously do like some of the low tier tanks. For example, the BT7 artillery, I made a video about that like very long ago when it first came out, but I'm not willing to go in there and beat up like newer players. I know that a lot of players that have played 40,000 games do not have any reservations going into these lower tier games and beating up kids or seals, but for me personally, I much rather have a little bit of a challenge at tier 6 and above. Everything above tier 6 for me is okay. If you have too many games, like 5,000 games, 3,000 games in the M44, I'm going to look at your account and I'm going to say you're a bit of a toxic player because of the broken state of the vehicle, or a very specific tank that has so many games. I could say it's kind of maybe a bit toxic. Yeah. Either way, this page shows you all of the stats that you need to know. One of the main stats that is really important for having a decent win 8 or getting the win 8 up is the damage output. You can see I don't have a lot of damage currently because I'm playing low tiers, tier 5, tier 6, and 7 at the moment. But usually when I play tier 8, tier 9, it should go above 1,600, 700. 1,600 is my base damage most of the time, my average damage out of all the games. But I usually get about almost 2k damage with a tier 8. That's my goal most of the time. And for me personally, winning is more important than doing damage. So sometimes I will not be able to hit those targets. But if I'm 3 marking, then doing damage is important, and I would probably put it higher than to win the game. So if we're losing, I'm going to draw back further away, but the game's already lost, to get more damage. And if we're winning, I'm just going to be really aggressive, trying to, you know, get the assistance damage and the damage that I can still have. Because if you do not have any risks when you are 3 marking, you're not going to be able to get the mark. Because winning a game and not doing the damage that you need is way worse than winning the game, dying somewhere in the middle of the game and having done at least some damage than having done no damage at all. I think that's way more important when you're 3 marking. So yeah, the win 8, as you can see, this is like the win 8 you can see for the personal vehicles for every single tank you've played. And a majority of these tanks, these are not a lot of games, because keeping like this kind of win 8, like 11,000 in a single tank, is almost impossible. It's really difficult to keep that win 8. So right now, because I've played the STB1 only 2 times and I've had 2 games where I did 8,000 damage, well, basically there's nothing that is going to allow me to get more. Like, it's not gonna put my win 8 down. It's gonna be sky high. Unless I play it again, I have some bad games, it's gonna go down. Everything is just gonna even out. And yeah, you can see a majority of these tanks are like tier 8s that I've played a couple of times. The LTG is one of the few tanks that I've played quite often. I've and I have a really high win 8 in, a high win rate as well. I love my Panzer IV-S, the Schmalturm. It does so much damage. It just is a damage machine. It's not very fast. It doesn't do anything particularly well, but it just does damage, and I like that tank. Winning in it is kind of difficult because you're not fast, but one of the tanks I'm super proud of, where I think I do quite well in, like, there are two of the tanks, and that's the Sheridan. The Sheridan I 3-marked, and 3-marking the Sheridan was actually not that difficult. Maybe it's because people hate the Sheridan. It flips over all of the time, it's a very large tank, but it has such high DPM that I kind of play it like a little medium tank that just has no armor. And you can spot at the same time. Sheridan works out great in that kind of respect because it has crazy DPM. But yeah, for spotting, I probably prefer a smaller tank. The T-34-3 is another vehicle that I'm super proud of because I play that tank a lot. I love the tank and I know how to do the damage, and I 3-marked that one as well. Now, my 3 marks, I'm not really sure how many there are. There are maybe 15 of them. It's not a whole lot, but there are some cool tanks in there. Majority of them are tier 8 premium tanks because I play a lot of tier 8 premiums. But I like the fact that I played the Leopard Prototype A. 3-marking that was a lot of fun. Very difficult tank to play correctly at tier 9 because everything is very unforgiving, especially since you have no armor. The E5 was a great time as well. I really enjoyed playing the E5. Haven't played it since I 3-marked that tank. It has been a very long time, but I love this tank. I love the E5. It's such a cool tank. The T54 was another 3-mark I had on the tier 9. Which was a lot of fun, but very difficult to do. It took me a long time to be able to 3-mark the T-54 and a lot of credits that I had to spend. Now, if we move on, one of the tanks I really want to 3-mark is the Batchat 25T. The Batchat and the M46 Patton. The M46 Patton is just one of those tanks that is really, really nice, but ever since they have added more tier 10 medium tanks, the M48 Patton just, its role has changed. It used to be a really good all-rounder with very good sniping capabilities, but now you have other tanks that can snipe better, like the K91. The Leopard one is really good, and it has better mobility, and the M48 Patton kind of falls behind because it lacks the mobility, but the M48 Patton has that very nice armor now that allows you to bounce more shots and like really fight those ridgeline fights. And I haven't really played it in a very long time, and I should probably get back into that tank. There are a lot of vehicles that I want to 3-mark, but the 3-marking takes time. 3-marking is also kind of difficult sometimes, depending on what tank. I know that there are a lot of Unicums out there that are really good at 3-marking, but I personally... I get into a certain mindset, I play it, then I get super frustrated, and then I kind of ruin my marks. So I have to be really careful with that. But either way, this is my journey of becoming or getting into the Unicum line. And this is like really cool. You can basically see overall which kind of tanks where you're good at. And what you can see is my story. This is basically how I started out at tier 1 and tier 2. Everything is garbage. The win rate is like 40%. The LTP I was actually quite good in, but majority of these tanks I'm very bad in. And then slowly I start to understand the game. I slowly start to get into the game. Oh, the Leopard, the German light tank. I like that vehicle. But I slowly get into it and I become better. At tier 6 and tier 5, you can see that there are certain outlines where I already know how to play the game, and I've just kind of gotten back into these tanks to, just enjoy some tier 6 tanks. And then at tier 7 and tier 8, majority of my tanks I know how to play, and there are only a few outlines where you can really see where I'm kind of struggling. For example, the Pershing. The Pershing is a tank that I haven't played in about 8 years, and the last time I touched this vehicle, it was, I think, the final tank of the line. Next, yeah, the M46 pattern was added afterwards. So yeah, the Pershing I've played a lot of games in. I've adored this tank, but I wasn't very good, as you can see. Then the batch had 25T AP. This used to be the Lorraine. So this was when the Lorraine was still stock, and I played it as a tier 9 vehicle. Yeah, you can see it wasn't very good. My batch had 25T, just took over the stats, and the majority otherwise is actually quite decent. You can see at tier 10, I know how to play a majority of my tier 10 tanks, except for the Object 261. I'm really bad in the Object 261. Win rate of 18%. Yeah, I'm not a very good artillery player. Let's put it like that. Oh, EBR 105, played 14 games. Obviously not the best stats, but I don't really enjoy playing the wheeled tanks too much. Except for the tier 8 premium. It should be somewhere in here. And it should be probably purple. If I recall correctly, but I shouldn't have too many games in it because I usually play it in Frontlines. I don't really play it in the standard game mode because the maps are just too small for it really to be effective, but I'm looking for it right. It's right here. So the EBR WN8 is at 2,633. It's not the worst, it's not the best, but it's fine. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know it's a bit of a special one. I wanted to talk about my stats and my journey, and you can see that in the last couple of months I have been able to keep my WN8 above 2,500 most of the time, with some specific dips where I just didn't really have a lot of good games, or where I didn't play a lot, and it kind of dips around there. And you can see like these sessions, 57% win rate, 0% win rate, 41% win rate with about 30 games, 50% win rate, 20% win rate, right here 25% win rate. Yeah, you can see there are a lot of games where things go down, they go up again. You have some really good games, you have some very bad games. Yeah, it's basically the journey, and I'm still trying to reach the 2,500. That's the goal. I've been dipping around 2,367 for a while now, so I'm looking forward to getting to 2,400. And then I'm probably going to make an update video when I reach the 2,500 mark. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Until then, have a good one.